I would love to share with you tips, tricks, hacks, and things I wish I knew before I had my 3 girls. If you're new here, I'm Diana and I have 3 girls under the age of 7. I'm on a mission to learn how to thrive and not just barely survive motherhood. So come along. Number 1, if you are not pregnant yet, give yourself a good 3 to 6 months and strengthen your core. I wish I had strengthened my core before having my 3 girls. Because I thought that it was not that important, I ended up with major back problems after having my 3 children. So if you aren't pregnant yet, please start working on that core strength. You will tell yourself a huge thank you after having those babies. Tip number 2, one of my girlfriends told me to do this and it was a lifesaver. Join a moms group like MOPS or some other group. They usually are at community centers or churches. You could probably find them online. Join them before you have that baby while you're still pregnant. Those mamas will welcome you with open arms and you'll start to build relationships so that when you have that baby, you have a built-in support group. It makes a huge difference because sometimes it can be lonely when you're a new mama. So to have that mom support group is a life changer. Tip number 3, give yourself at least a year to lose the baby weight. I gained 40 pounds with each one of my 3 girls. And it's easy to feel chunky and frumpy and frustrated with yourself after the 6th month, the 9th month, the 12th month. So give yourself grace, give yourself at least a year to lose that baby weight. And I've actually heard sometimes it can take up to 2 years to get back to feeling like your normal self. There is a new normal, and give yourself grace and lots of time. Tip number 4. So I wish I would have let my mom come help me with my first baby. So she offered to help, and me and my husband were like, it's just one baby, we can do it. I wish I had her. It's just so nice to have someone help with dinner. It's so nice to have someone hold the baby when you're so exhausted and you've been up all night feeding because you're not quite sure how to do it, and moral support. So I wish I would have said yes to that. My 2nd and my 3rd baby, I said, absolutely, Mom, please help. She stayed with us for a good 2 weeks, which I know I'm blessed. I know some people do not have family, but I'm just saying, if you have options, if you have family or friends who offer, absolutely say yes, especially with your first one, your 2nd one, your 3rd one, each one, say yes to help. Next tip, do yourself a favor and buy some OxiClean. OxiClean and a couple little buckets. So the first few weeks, few years, but specifically few weeks and months, your baby's gonna have a lot of yellow, orange poop, and it will stain. So you don't wanna have to be scrubbing like you've just had a baby. So put OxiClean, the little tiny outfits, put in a small little bucket. OxiClean, hot water, let it soak for 5-10 hours, whatever you want. Throw it in your washing machine and forget it. It's perfect. It cleans it perfectly. Listen to me. This will save your life. Next tip is, there are gonna be parts of this newborn stage that you may not love, but just know that that first 1 to 2 months of snuggly newborn on your shoulder, that's super sleepy, that'll only last 1 to 2 months. So there's no guilt about, oh, I just have to treasure every moment because it goes so fast. Well, sometimes it's hard to treasure every moment when you're really tired. But I'm just gonna tell you, my 1st and 2nd daughter, I didn't really treasure that moment because it was just intense. But my 3rd, when I knew it was my last, I just so enjoyed that cuddly stage because I knew it's only a few weeks. Next tip has to do with baby bottles. So I don't care what brand you use, get a baby bottle drawer or a baby bottle Tupperware and put everything together so that when your husband wants to feed your baby, he doesn't have to try to fit like what bottom and what insert and what like twisty and what nipple goes on the top in the middle of the night when it's 2 a.m. I'm speaking from experience. This was very stressful for us in the first few weeks. When he's trying to feed the baby a bottle, guess what? She's screaming. So do yourself a favor. As you're preparing, get a drawer and put everything together. Okay, next tip. This is more just like a, hey, I wish I knew. Nursing isn't necessarily easy. So God made our bodies and our babies to figure out how it all goes together, but sometimes it just is not easy. So my tip would be, please take advantage of the lactation consultant. I think most hospitals and areas have someone that'll either come to your hospital room, that'll come to your house for free, that you can call. They will come and see, okay, are they attaching and not attaching? What's going on with their suction? I did not know that my baby's suction was causing so much pain to me. And if they just suction properly, it won't hurt so bad. So do yourself a favor. Just know it's not always easy. Give yourself grace and say yes to the lactation consultant. Okay, baby monitor. The tip is get a baby monitor that can move. So I had 2 different kinds, which is where this tip came from. I had one that was stationary, so it would just watch my baby in the crib or the bassinet. And then I had another one that was more expensive that could move around, because once they get a little older, they're gonna start rolling around the crib. And then once they're 2 or 3 and they're in their little bed, sometimes it's really nice, instead of opening their door to see if they're awake, you just move the camera to where they are and make sure they're not getting into all kinds of mischief. So get yourself a movable camera. My friend has one that talks to her phone. So if the kids are with a babysitter, she can actually tap in with her phone and see, are they napping? What are they doing? It's a nanny cam situation. And I think that's awesome. Okay, so this tip saved my motherhood because it gave me sleep. But before I share this tip with you, can we just agree that there is a lot of input on sleep training, co-sleeping, not co-sleeping, feeding on demand. There's a lot of opinions out there. And mamas, you choose what's best for you, okay? It's okay. But let me share with you what has worked for me and has given me sleep and rest and has given my babies sleep and rest. You need to read this book. So this is Baby Wise. Baby Wise, Giving Your Infant the Gift of Nighttime Sleep by Gary Ezzo, E-Z-Z-O. So I would highly recommend buying this book and reading it. I read it for each one of my kids. It just has it teaches you to learn your baby's cues. So learn when they're hungry, learn their cries, learn when they're tired cry, learn when they're pain cry. It teaches you how to try to keep them up before they go into the crib so they can learn to fall asleep on their own. So this book has been extremely influential in my parenthood, and my 3 girls slept through the night between 2.5 and 3 months old. Please don't compare if you're in a different place. Some babies, my babies didn't have colic. They didn't have throw up, reflux. What is that? Reflux. So if your baby has health issues, it might be a little bit longer. My next tip goes along with my previous one regarding sleep training is don't compare. I think I found myself comparing with other moms, how are they sleep training? Are their kids sleeping through the night? Either I thought I was better than them or worse than them, depending on how my babies were doing. 2 out of 3 of my girls had no hair. So I was comparing the cute babies with all the hair and my cute little blonde bald babies. Don't compare. Just give yourself a big breath. Even pregnancy, it's super easy to compare. Oh my gosh, you ate sushi, or maybe I shouldn't eat sushi, or, let go of comparison. Next tip, expect some hormonal potential baby blues. So I am a positive person, and I never thought I would feel lonely, depressed, any of that stuff. But I found after each baby, but specifically after my first, because it was kind of an abrupt change to my career woman life. Here's this baby, my hormones, I'd just gone through a C-section. I was down. I was depressed. I was lonely. I didn't really want to see people, which is really weird. So just almost expect some baby blues. Now, I am not a doctor. I'm not a physician. So if you have, it could be actual postpartum depression. And if that's the case, if it's heavy, like talk to somebody, talk to your doctor, like get help. It's okay. There's no shame in this. There's a lot of hormones raging through our bodies. So give yourself grace, mama. Okay, so this next tip has to do with diapers and your changing your baby. So I wish I knew, okay, when you get up in the middle of the night, when they're newborns, you get up in the middle of the night to feed them. I wish I knew, change your baby first and do it with a cold wipey. I know that sounds cruel, but it helps to wake that baby up if it's cool, if it's cold, it's room temperature, whatever, because the baby needs to wake up enough in order to eat a full tummy. If they just don't wake up and they only like snack every half an hour, you're going to be up 12 times a night. But if you can, once they wake up, change their diaper first, cold, then nurse them or bottle feed them, however you do it. And then as they'll drink their fill and then they'll go back to sleep. What I used to do the wrong way is I used to nurse them and then I would change them at the end. But the problem with that is when I changed them, it would wake their little bodies back up and then they would be awake and they needed to go to sleep. So reverse it, change them first, then feed them, put them right back to bed in the middle of the night. Next tip. Expect a couple hard hours between like 5 and 7 p.m. For all three of our newborn babies, they would scream for no apparent reason between, I would say somewhere between like 5 and 7 p.m. It's almost like, okay, they've been up and now they're feeling grumpy before bedtime. So for us, I knew it wasn't their diaper. I knew they weren't necessarily tired. I knew they weren't hungry because I just fed them. So they were just crying, aka screaming for no reason. And that can be stressful, but when you know, hey, that's coming. I know some people call it the witching hour, but it's just a hard couple hours. And I loved putting those babies in the baby swing during that time. And that just really helped them. It really helped me because as a new mom, when you've got a lot of screaming going on, there's only so much of that you can take in a 24-hour period. So sometimes the swing is a lifesaver during those 2 hours. This last tip is one that a friend shared with me when I had a 1.5-year-old and a 2-week-old baby. I was recovering from a C-section and I was really struggling. And what she shared with me is actually a verse from the Bible. It's Isaiah 40, verse 11. Listen to this. It says, He, God, will protect his flock like a shepherd. He will gather the lambs in his arms. He will carry them in his bosom. He will gently and carefully lead those nursing their young. And so what that spoke to me is that God is gentle with me as a mom. And so I need to be gentle with myself. So that's what I'll leave you with. You're doing a good job, mama. You are going to be an amazing mama, and give yourself grace. Be gentle with yourself. So mamas, let's be gentle with ourselves. If you're a new mama, if you're a pregnant mama, if you're getting ready to have a baby, I am so excited for you, and hold on to that. God is gentle with you, so be gentle with yourself.